is part 3 of a multi-part series. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but I wanted to start documenting the path, the road that it takes to go from wanting to speak up about something serious, about something personal, wanting to be part of the conversation, but not knowing how to do it. Having an idea of, I want to get interviewed, and actually show you how do you go from being nobody to getting that interview, to going from that interview to getting the interview you want to have the conversation you want to have eventually. And so I was curious, extremely curious, where do I start? Where do I begin? And look at this. Note, as of 2018, The Dark Place is on indefinite hiatus. A friend of mine at the gym, my therapist, and even my psychiatrist at one time or another has suggested, you know, there are these podcasts about mental health, and it would be great if you could be on the show. And now I think I want to be on one of those shows. So I turned to Google. Here we are on Google. Everybody knows Google. Okay, so I want to be on a podcast. Now, where do I begin? Well, let's start searching for top mental health podcasts. And as you can see there, it auto-completes there. Very good autocomplete, by the way. Amazing how you figured out what I wanted to search for. 10 podcasts about mental health. Here we go. Let's take a look here on the Lily, and here we have a very nice image, and it's written by Rachel Orr, and it's a description of many of the available podcasts. Here's one, Crybabies. As you can guess, the name of the podcast, co-hosted by Sarah Tyre and Susan Orlean, talk about the things that make us cry and interview creative guests like musicians, writers, and actors. I'm not any of those. Okay, next. And so we go down the list. Mentally Yours. Very interesting. Co-hosts Yvette Castor and Ellen Scott. Talk to a mystery guest each week. Oh, that's great. I might be a mystery guest. About the weird things in our minds. Castor started suffering from depression in her teens and had first manic episode at age 18. Oh, interesting, which led to a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. It would be great if I could talk to either of these. Now let's just have a look then. So I'm going on over to the Metro and looking at this Mentally Yours podcast, and then I'm looking for where do I actually find the rest of that podcast? I go down here, and then we look at Mentally Yours. And then let's see here. Okay, here we go. Mentally Yours. Jamie Jewett says he initially said no to Love Island because of mental health issues. And he's an actor. Okay, so I don't think that they're interviewing common people like me. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The Dark Place. The Dark Place with Joel Kutz. The Dark Place stories from today. The Dark Place, he talks to everyday people and shares their stories about depression, anxiety, trauma, and mental illness. He hopes to show that if you're struggling, you are not alone. Everyday people. Okay, well, this actually seems about what I'm looking for. Here we go, The Dark Place, podcast about mental health. Listen about, tell your story. All right, look at this. Note, as of 2018, The Dark Place is on indefinite hiatus, but I will still welcome you to share your story with me using the below form. Due to the number of stories that are submitted, I am unfortunately not able to reply to everyone or include them all on air. That said, I do personally read all of the stories I receive and take them all to heart. You know what? I just might write my story to him anyway, even though this is not available. Well, interesting. All right, so I will definitely try to share my story with him, and maybe he'll say he wishes me luck and something like that. The Struggle Bus, best friends and co-hosts Catherine Keller and Sally Tamarkin offer candid advice to listeners submitted questions about friends, family, work, mental health, and literally everything else. In these transcripts, it looks like they read people's emails. So that's an option. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and bookmark that because that's a good idea. Okay. So let's move on from that and go back here. It doesn't, honestly, it doesn't look like there's interviews. But okay, very nice. Let's look at the next one. Sounds good with Brandon Harvey. I'd like to point out right now that so many of these podcasts are totally worth listening to. And if I were you and you needed something right now to listen to, even if you're very interested in following along with my story and just want to hear about that, but if any of these interest you, go listen to them, whether or not I'm able to contact them, whether or not I'm able to reach out to them. So anyway, let's get back to the hunt. So we're back here. Sounds good with Brandon Harvey. Brandon Harvey is more than a podcast host. He's a champion for hope and good in the world. Okay, so this is more general. That's awesome, in fact. But as it looks like they're looking for more professional speakers than an average person. About coping with depression, panic attacks, and bipolar disorder. Follow Gotch on Instagram, where she shares daily about mental health. I am fascinated by this. And clicking on the link takes us to talkingcircles.com. Now, what does it take to get on the show? Let's take a look. Site can't be reached. Catelyn Priest is the host of The Heart, an audio art project about intimacy and humanity. I'm willing to bet this podcast is unlike anything you've ever heard. It's so beautiful and thoughtfully produced, and is truly a work of art. It's divided into seasons that feature a handful of episodes about various topics, and as masculinity and femininity, feelings and love and exploration of, well then, probably, I'm just gonna say, that's probably not my target audience right there. Alright, the hilarious world of depression. Host John Moe has recruited fellow comedians who are willing to talk about depression. It's a show where we drag depression out into the sunlight, talk openly and honestly about it, and have a little fun, he says. There's something for everyone in these stories of frank, moving, and funny conversations. Oh, that's pretty cool, okay. So let's see what's on this website. There's one more, the Mental Illness Happy Hour. The Mental Illness Happy Hour, and this is one that I've actually specifically been told about by my psychiatrist, as she highly recommends it. It's stand-up comedian, TV personality Paul Gilmartin. He interviews fellow comedians, artists, friends of the occasional doctor about mental illness, trauma, addiction, and negative thinking. Gilmartin was diagnosed with clinical depression in 1999 and has been sober since 2003. He says, "I am not a therapist. This isn't a doctor's office. It's more like a waiting room that doesn't suck." And honestly, that sounds awesome. And so I think out of all of these, because I've heard of this one, I highly recommend it the most. Again, the type of guests that they have on the show aren't regular people like myself. But at the same time, this is something that I hope to eventually be welcome to be on. And so, you know, it's good to be not just aware of it, but to even have it and have high hopes of eventually being there one day. And I think that for most of these outlets, their focus is primarily on, we contact you, our people will contact your people, sort of thing. Whereas the one that I did find in this list ended up being on hiatus. And while I will continue to send that story, it's gonna be difficult to find websites that are open and ready to interview someone like myself. Okay, so striking out here a little bit, more than a little bit, I'd say. I'm not gonna lie, when I started searching yesterday, my heart kinda sank at this point. I thought, oh my god, what is happening? Maybe I haven't found a great list. Let's look again at the list. And I went back and I said, I went back to Google and went, you know, maybe there's another list here. So top mental health podcasts, what's the next one on the list? And I looked at the next one on the list, and as you can see here, I looked at the fourth one on the list, and I looked at the fifth one on the, the sixth one on the list. And so here on the second one on the list, I pretty much found exactly the same thing. Here's a repeat, The Hilarious World of Depression. Here's Terrible Thanks for Asking. That actually looks awesome. I love the description of Terrible Thanks for Asking, because honestly, so many times somebody asks me how I'm feeling, and I'm like, I really don't want to tell you right now, so I'm gonna say I'm okay, even though I really don't feel okay, but I just don't want to talk about it right now. So Terrible Thanks for Asking is a great encapsulation of the idea of the common feeling that we all have. But then I looked at it, and well, this is the listing, at least on iTunes. It doesn't look like they have any contact info. And again, I'm looking like, what are the odds that I'll get interviewed? Okay. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna sort of wrap this up and cut this a little short. I looked at all of these. I read this list. I went back to Google and I clicked on the fourth one in the list, and there it is, 6 podcasts that talk honestly about mental health. And I looked at that list and it was the same, and I looked at this list and it was the same. And that's when I thought, this isn't gonna happen. And I was really scared and concerned, because I kind of put myself out there already, that I really want to do this. I really want to speak my mind about mental health. I want to speak my mind about bipolar disorder, and I want to speak it in such a way that really connects with the average person. As an average person, I'm not a super hyper successful person. I'm not successful in my mental health treatment because my life is so successful and I have so much to lose. I have nothing. And yet, I still treat myself as valuable. I still treat myself as worth taking care of myself, because my life inherently has value and people love me. My family loves me. And for those reasons, I take care of myself, fully believing in the value of doing that. And I wanted to connect with people who don't have great amounts of success. And so because it's so deceptive, we can deceive ourselves into thinking they're not like me, but they have all of this. They have a business to run. They have a book to promote. They have done things that make them accomplished. And I wanted to say that you can do it too. You can take care of yourself, that it doesn't matter if you are living your dream, your this or that. Your mental health is of the highest priority. And so for these reasons, for the reason that I am like an everyman in this regard, I am perhaps the most relatable to people. And it's because it's because of that I feel like I need to be part of the conversation. Again, going back to the search here, this search did not work out. Now, what I thought of next, I thought of making it a bit more direct, a bit more general. And it took me about a half hour to realize it. I think if I type in a mental health podcast looking for guests, that I might have more success. And this is what I found. There is, in fact, a radio guest list. This is at radioguestlist.com. And they have a category of health. And so on radioguestlist.com, I was looking at it. And it doesn't look like currently there's something that I can apply to. But this gave me hope because this list updates. I decided I'd go ahead and I'd sign up here, and so I did. I signed up here with my email, and I typed that in, and I hit that, and so I will be getting information about shows that are looking for guests. Now, some of these shows say specifically they're looking for this type of expert or this type of person, a doctor, this or that, and that's fine. But some of them are looking for the average person, so the average person to interview. And so I looked at that. So I'm very optimistic about what might happen through there. Now, over here, we've got the Mental Health News Radio Network, which is very interesting. And immediately they say, let's team up. Okay? Be a podcaster. And then we have a sponsor us. And then here it is. Be a guest. Interested in being a guest on one of our shows? Our podcasters have interviewed people from all walks of life and multiple countries. We believe in the art of conversation, vulnerability, empathy, business, and know-how, and advocacy. You can be a best-selling author, celebrity, or our neighbor. If you have something to say about mental health, we want to hear from you. Contact our program director, Melina Van, to set up a pre-show interview, and we'll decide whether if our platform is the right place for your story. And when I saw this, I'm so relieved. In fact, it really took me aback. I was like, was kind of doing a little bit of a victory dance in my mind. I wanted to, jump for joy, but I kind of just did on the inside because I didn't. Let's just be honest, white men can't jump. Okay, so... and so this is as far as I've gotten. This video is currently getting too long to keep going, and I should really wrap it up here, so I'm going to try to wrap it up here really quickly. I just had a eureka moment that this exists, that it's possible, that there are people who are looking for guests. And... one of them, the show's on hiatus. The other one is currently active. And I'm excited. I'm really excited about this. So that's where I want to leave it. I don't know where this is going to go next, but I will keep you updated every step of the way. For now, that's going to be it for today, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you all stay very excellent to each other, and I'm going to get to work. Okay? So I'll see you next time when I have more. Thank you very much, and have a good day.